The sound was faint. Then suddenly, the forest lit up as if the sun had exploded underground. This was not a drill. This was a coordinated, full-force Ukrainian assault that even Russian officers didn't see coming. From the tree line, a camera drone captured what intelligence classified as the perfect strike. 3 Russian tanks vaporized in under 8 seconds, followed by a fireball that shattered every window within 2 kilometers. The invasion spearhead had just been shattered. Under cover of darkness, Ukraine's legendary 3rd Separate Iron Tank Brigade moved into the Khark forest. Their T-72 main battle tanks and U-supplied BTR-4 armored vehicles had waited in complete silence for over 7 hours. Final orders came via encrypted channel. Execute Phase 1, no delays. The first shell was fired at 4:02. In less than 30 seconds, multiple Russian positions vanished: sandbag bunkers, concealed trenches, and 2 ammunition trailers. Drones fed live data to HQ while MiG-29 jets, circling high above, waited for the iron fist to break the shell. Then came the aerial hammer. Hungarian-based MiG-29s launched precise strikes at 6 major Russian strongholds: an FPV control hub, a disguised ammunition depot, and 3 deeply fortified shelters. Each hit was flawless, no survivors. The sky lit up red as Ukrainian jets peeled away untouched. If you believe Ukraine must keep striking harder, type "Victory is earned" in the comments now. As the smoke cleared, UAV operators from Ukraine's 63rd Brigade entered the zone. Their drones didn't just scout, they hunted. FPV kamikaze units tracked individual Russian soldiers like shadows. Every bush and every trench became a coffin. One operator, call sign Falcon, locked onto 3 Russians crawling through brush toward a mortar position. His screen flashed "Target acquired," then eliminated. It was one of 74 confirmed hits that morning. Another shelter went up in flames. A hidden stockpile of Grad rockets turned to shrapnel. Russians tried to run. It didn't matter, the drones followed. Even the sound of rotors above was enough to send enemy troops diving for cover. But most shelters had already been marked for destruction. In the next strike, a secret tunnel entrance exploded outward, revealing what was likely a command group hiding below. The fireball lit the canopy for 200 meters. Special operations troops from Ukraine's SDF unit were already moving in. Under the cover of drone overwatch and heavy artillery, they cleared captured ground room by room, tunnel by tunnel. Helmet cams recorded soldiers throwing grenades into bunkers, dragging wounded allies to safety, and using suppressed weapons to neutralize those who had survived the air assault. The operation wasn't over, but its momentum was unstoppable. Russian forces were trapped. No reinforcements, no air cover, no escape. The Iron Tank Brigade shattered Russia's outer line in Khark Forest. Dozens of bunkers and tanks reduced to ash. Now, Ukraine's special forces are breaching the inner defense ring, and what they uncover next shocks even veteran commanders. At 5:32, Ukrainian drone operators zoomed in on a newly discovered zigzag trench complex. It wasn't marked on any previous intelligence maps. Aerial thermal scans revealed nearly 40 heat signatures, moving within likely a mix of infantry and support elements. Special Forces Team Ghost Wolf approached from the northeast under suppressive fire. As the sun rose behind them, their shadows stretched across the frost-covered grass. Only seconds before the first grenade landed in the trench. It exploded mid-air, scattering shrapnel and screams. Seconds later, Ukrainian forces jumped in. Helmet cam footage captured brutal scenes. Rifles fired inches from enemy faces, bayonets piercing through sandbag defenses, and hand-to-hand combat as soldiers wrestled over control of radio sets. It wasn't clean. It wasn't clinical. It was primal. Yet despite the chaos, Ukrainian units moved like a machine. Every turn of the trench was cleared with precision. Toss a grenade, Flash in, breach left, secure right. 2 Russian officers were captured alive, dazed and bleeding. One tried to speak. The other wept. At 6:05, Russian FPV drones launched a desperate counterattack. From behind the tree line, 6 Lancet units rose into the morning fog, aiming to disable Ukrainian artillery support. But Ukraine was ready. Electronic warfare teams stationed on the ridge activated, jamming units that scrambled signals and forced half the drones into spiraling crashes. The rest were intercepted mid-air by custom-built Hunter drones, each rigged with fragmentation charges designed for aerial collision kills. One Ukrainian drone pilot, known as Spider, guided his unit into a perfect intercept course. Both crafts exploded mid-air, showering burning plastic into the trees below. His squad cheered in the command tent. Spider just nodded and launched another. At 6:33, one of the captured Russian officers broke under interrogation. He revealed the location of an underground command shelter 1.5 kilometers southwest, beneath a camouflaged farmhouse with fake windows and a dummy chimney. Special forces moved instantly. By 6:45, they were breaching the site, blasting through the cellar with breaching charges. The bunker below was a maze of concrete halls, map rooms, and satellite feeds. Documents were still fresh. Screens were still warm. Whoever had been here had left minutes earlier, but they didn't get far. Drone units circling the exit perimeter spotted a convoy of 2 UAZ trucks attempting escape through the rear forest trail. Ukrainian tanks, repositioned in advance, had the path covered. One sabot round split the lead truck in half. The second truck flipped after hitting an anti-vehicle mine. The forest fell silent, except for the distant thud of retreating footsteps. At exactly 7:01, Ukrainian soldiers standing atop the seized command post received a last intercepted radio signal. The voice was calm but final. "This sector is lost. We're pulling back to position. Echo. May God help the rest." Seconds later, that frequency went dark. Ukrainian forces raised the national flag above the collapsed farmhouse. A symbolic moment and a strategic one. With this victory, the entire Khark defensive line had been breached. Supplies, troops, and drone corridors could now move freely through the zone. But the battle wasn't over yet. Ukrainian special forces breached the last Russian trench in the Khark sector. A secret underground command post was seized. The enemy retreated, but not for long. Now Russia is throwing everything it has into one last desperate counterattack. At 7:08, radar stations near Kramatorsk picked up a fast-moving cluster of heat signatures, dropping altitude rapidly. It was a Russian VDV airborne insertion, a tactic not used in this region since early 2023. 24 Mi-8 helicopters roared into view. Under their bellies, troops prepared for fast rope insertion into clearings east of the battlefield. Ukraine's response was instant. Mim-23 Hawk missiles locked on and fired. 2 choppers exploded mid-air, scattering debris across the tree line. But several made it through, dropping elite Russian troops directly into the heart of the combat zone. For 11 minutes it was chaos. Bullets zipped through fog. Paratroopers landed under fire. Ukrainian mortar teams shifted fire arcs to the treetops. Drones hovered overhead, marking every movement in real time. At 7:24, the tide shifted from behind. The hills southwest of Chasiv Yar, the low rumble of engines echoed across the valley. Then they appeared 4 M1 Abrams tanks, cresting the ridge like armored titans. These were not ordinary tanks. Each one had thermal camouflage netting, side skirts modified for Ukrainian terrain, and UAV signal relays mounted atop the turret. The lead tank was call-signed Viper 1. Within minutes, the battlefield changed. Russian paratroopers tried to dig in, using hastily constructed foxholes for cover. But the Abrams moved like predators. Thermal optics picked up their heat signatures beneath branches, and with each shot, The forest floor exploded in fire and debris. A sabot round struck an armored personnel carrier, sending its turret cartwheeling into the trees. Another Abrams swept left and fired into a supply trailer, igniting a chain reaction of ammunition. By 7:31, Ukrainian infantry regrouped around the tanks, forming a combined armor infantry wedge. Drones provided overhead targeting, while Bradley IFVs closed in on the flanks. Their 25mm cannons swept tree-line gaps where Russian snipers hid. A brief lull followed. Smoke filled the air. Then came the counter-barrage. Russian artillery from the north opened fire. Shells rained down. Trees shattered. Earth split. But Abrams held position, returning fire with GPS-guided heat rounds. One shell landed directly on a Russian mortar nest captured on drone cam in thermal vision. The crater still smoked 15 minutes later. At 7:44, the most surreal moment of the day unfolded in the sky. 10 Russian Lancet drones launched from 3 hidden launchers. Their goal: disable Abrams units. But Ukraine deployed a surprise. From a camouflage truck behind the ridge, a Ukrainian drone swarm unit released 15 kamikaze quadcopters, each carrying shaped charges and a eye-guided targeting software. Air became a battlefield. Drones collided mid-air like insects. Sparks flew. Explosions lit the clouds. Ukrainian operators guided their units with cold precision. One Lancet got through but struck an empty decoy vehicle. The Abrams remained untouched. At exactly 7:57, Russian ground units began retreating toward fallback points northeast of the forest. Ukrainian forces didn't let them go. Abrams call sign Viper 2 repositioned to a hilltop and spotted AT-72B3 trying to reverse down a dirt trail. The gun rotated slowly, locked in, fired. The sabot round slammed into the turret seam, lifting the Russian tank off its tracks. It landed sideways, engine ablaze. Bradley vehicles moved in on the right flank, mopping up infantry with controlled bursts. A cluster of soldiers tried to flee across an open field, only to be spotted by a hovering Bayraktar drone. Seconds later, precision artillery ended their run. At 8:12, Ukrainian forces officially declared the Khark sector cleared. Drones scanned the field. No heat signatures, no radio signals, no incoming shells, only silence. Smoke curled into the sky. Burned-out tanks smoldered beneath cracked birch trees. Ukrainian medics moved in to check for wounded. One soldier planted a small blue and yellow flag on the wreckage of a BMP-3. The camera panned slowly upward. A single sentence appeared on the screen. 25 minutes. One Abrams battle group. Khark is ours. This was more than a battle, it was a turning point. Abrams has proven its worth, not just as a tank, but as a force multiplier in modern warfare. What's next? Will Russia escalate with Kornet missiles and long-range loitering munitions? Will Ukraine press the advantage further into occupied sectors? Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because in the next 48 hours, the frontline may change again. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which moment shocked you most? Like if you support Ukraine's defenders, and stay tuned for our exclusive debrief from the Ghost Wolf Commander next episode.